I've spent decades, more than 90 years, studying money, watching how people make it, how they lose it, how wealth is built, and how it is destroyed. I've observed individuals from every corner of the world, people with high incomes, people with modest means, and people with unimaginable fortunes. And there is a pattern, a set of silent rules that determine whether someone stays broke or becomes wealthy over the decades. Most people assume they're broke because they don't earn enough. That's the first mistake. I can tell you with certainty, based on a lifetime of observation, that it is rarely a matter of income. People make enough. They have the potential to build financial security. What stops them are invisible, recurring decisions that leave money quietly over years. Decisions that appear small, but when compounded, determine the difference between struggling financially and living a life of freedom. These are the silent killers of wealth, decisions that aren't dramatic, decisions that don't make headlines, but decisions that determine your financial destiny. And most never even realize they are making them. I want to show you today the 5 most critical mistakes keeping people broke. I will give you numbers, math, and perspective. I will show you exactly how these errors compound over decades. And most importantly, I will show you how billionaires behave differently at every step, the exact decisions they make that most people never even consider. These aren't theories. These aren't hypotheticals. They are patterns repeated by the wealthy consistently and ignored by the rest. Mistakes that cost hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions over a lifetime, but each one is entirely fixable. If you are willing to pay attention and implement them, your financial life can transform in ways most people never experience. Let's start with the hidden problem. Even when people earn well middle class to upper middle class, they remain financially trapped. Why? Because of a mindset gap. A psychological gap that blinds them to the consequences of their daily decisions. One of the biggest issues is present bias. We prioritize immediate satisfaction over long-term security. A new car today, a bigger house this year, a vacation this month. Each choice feels harmless, but cumulatively, they prevent wealth accumulation. Another factor is social proof. People spend to match the lifestyle of peers. If neighbors drive a luxury sub, they feel compelled to do the same. If colleagues flaunt designer watches, they feel pressure to keep up. You stop to calculate the cost of these behaviors over decades. Exponential growth is often underestimated. People understand saving is good, but they don't understand the staggering power of compounding. Investing $500 a month in your 20s grows to hundreds of thousands by retirement. Ignoring this is a silent, long-term wealth killer. Overconfidence plays a role, too. Many assume they can correct mistakes later, refinance later, or invest later. But time doesn't wait. Every month spent overspending or accumulating. Debt is a month of lost compounding. Over 20, 30, 40 years, those months accumulate into millions. Finally, most people lack discipline. They know what they should do, yet habits dominate behavior. Impulse buying, lifestyle inflation, ignoring fees they know it's harmful but do it anyway. This psychological disconnect is the core reason so many remain broke despite adequate income. The 5 mistakes I will outline are the most common, and they are silent. They operate quietly in your finances while you focus on income, promotions, and short-term gains, and they compound exponentially, relentlessly. The first critical mistake is lifestyle inflation, spending every extra dollar you earn. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet devastating. Consider a person earning $50,000 per year. They receive a $5,000 raise. Most immediately adjust their lifestyle. They upgrade their car. They dine out more. They subscribe to more services, and within months, that $5,000 is gone, spent, vanished. The psychological behavior is clear: status bias and hedonic adaptation. We quickly adjust to new comforts and perceive them as necessities. Peer pressure reinforces this. If everyone around you spends more when earning more, you unconsciously do the same. Let's examine the numbers. Suppose that $5,000 raise is instead invested at a 7% annual return. Over 30 years, that single $5,000 contributes approximately $38,000 to future wealth. Now multiply that by every raise over decades. Multiple $5,000, $10,000 raises over 20 years, and the compounded loss can easily reach hundreds of thousands. Compare this with billionaire behavior. Warren Buffett, for instance, invests raises immediately. He doesn't adjust his lifestyle to match every incremental income increase. He maintains consistent spending habits and allows compounding to work its magic. The additional $5,000 is not spent, it becomes an investment, and over time it grows to multiples far exceeding any consumer purchase. Fixing this mistake is simple but requires discipline. Do not increase lifestyle with every raise. Invest surplus income immediately. Let compounding do its work. What feels like small, harmless spending today can cost you hundreds of thousands over decades if ignored. The second silent wealth killer is carrying high-interest debt. Credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later schemes, all are wealth destroyers. Psychologically, the behavior stems from present bias and overconfidence. People believe they can manage it, that they'll pay it off later, or that it's a necessary convenience. They underestimate the cost over decades. Here's an numeric example. Suppose you carry a $5,000 credit card balance at 24% annual interest. You make minimum payments over 30 years while continuing to use the card. By the end, the interest alone may total over $18,000, but the real cost is opportunity cost. If instead you had invested the payments at 7% annually, that same $5,000 could grow to approximately $16,000 over 30 years. Car loans are similar. A $35,000 auto loan at 5% interest over 6 years results in $5,600 in interest. But if a used car costing $15,000 was purchased instead, the $25,600 difference invested at 7% over 30 years grows to roughly $40,000. One car loan can cost nearly $500,000 in future wealth. Billionaires do not behave this way. They avoid consumer debt entirely. Every purchase is either cash-based or strategically financed at very low rates for investment purposes. The wealth-building difference is staggering. Eliminating high-interest debt isn't just smart, it is essential. The third mistake is under-saving or delaying investing. Most people acknowledge they should save but postpone it, believing they'll catch up later. This is a critical error. Psychologically, this stems from exponential growth bias and procrastination. People underestimate how compounding accelerates over decades. Delaying investing by just 10 years can have dramatic consequences. Numeric example, suppose a 25-year-old invests $500 per month at 7% annual return. By age 65, the investment grows to approximately $16,000. Now, if they wait until 35 to start investing the same $500 per month, the future value drops to $45,000. The 10-year delay costs $25,000 in potential wealth. Multiply that over multiple investment streams, and the loss escalates. Billionaires invest early and consistently. Buffett has emphasized the power of starting early and compounding for decades. They don't wait for the perfect time or higher income. Every dollar invested early compounds exponentially, providing freedom and financial resilience. The fourth critical mistake is overspending on big-ticket items, homes, cars, and luxury goods beyond one's financial means. These are not just expenses, they are wealth sinks that silently erode potential investments. Psychologically, this behavior is driven by anchor bias, lifestyle signaling, and social proof. People compare themselves to others and feel compelled to keep up or look successful. A larger house, a newer car, or a luxury brand seems to signal achievement, but in reality, it often signals financial overextension. Consider a numeric example. Suppose a household earns $100,000 per year. Following societal norms, they purchase a house at the upper limit of their affordability, say $400,000. Monthly mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance total $3,000. Alternatively, buying a modest house for $200,000 or renting for $50,000 or $50,000 a month, $50,000 per month, $100. Investing that difference at a 7% annual return over 30 years results in roughly $22 million in accumulated wealth. Cars follow a similar pattern. Purchasing a $35,000 new car every 6 years compared to a $15,000 reliable used car driven twice as long creates a loss of nearly $600,000 over 30 years when factoring investment potential. Billionaires take a different approach. Buffett, for instance, lives in the same house he purchased decades ago. His cars are modest, his lifestyle restrained, yet his wealth has exponentially. The key principle: avoid tying up funds in assets that depreciate or overextend your cash flow. Instead, allocate surplus capital toward investments that compound over decades. The fix is simple but counterintuitive. Buy below your means. Choose assets that serve your needs rather than impress others. Avoid financing items that do not appreciate meaningfully. The cumulative effect over decades is staggering, often determining the difference between financial stagnation and exponential wealth growth. The fifth silent wealth killer is minor, recurring spending, daily coffees, lunches, subscriptions, impulse purchases, and other habitual small expenses. Individually, these seem insignificant, but the compounded cost over decades is enormous. Psychologically, this stems from instant gratification, mental accounting, and underestimating small losses. People rationalize small expenses as too minor to matter, while ignoring the exponential impact when accumulated over years. Consider numeric examples. 3 non-fruity $50 one, 120.77 per year. Invested at 7% over 30 years, $26,026,000. 10 weekly lunches, $540 per year. Compounded at 7% over 30 years, $53,000 per year. Compounded at 7% over 30 years, $60,000 times Combined, these seemingly minor choices can result in losses exceeding $200,000, $250,000 over decades. Multiply by multiple small recurring expenses, and the loss becomes even more significant. Billionaires operate differently. They minimize unnecessary spending and consciously direct all disposable income toward investments. They recognize that small habitual savings can compound into substantial wealth. This is why discipline in minor expenses matters as much as restraint in major purchases. The fix is straightforward: identify recurring waste, reduce or eliminate it, and invest the difference. Small choices, compounded over decades, become the foundation of financial independence. Now, let us review the cumulative effect of these five silent mistakes. Each one may seem manageable alone, but combined, they represent millions in lost wealth over 20-40 years. Lifestyle inflation, delayed or missed investments can cost hundreds of thousands. High interest debt, opportunity costs can reach hundreds of thousands or more. Undersaving, delayed investing, missing decades of compounding results in hundreds of thousands lost. Overspending on big ticket items, millions over decades due to lost investment potential. Small recurring waste, minor daily choices compound into hundreds of thousands. Cumulatively, these five mistakes, if left unaddressed, can easily erode $6-7 million in potential wealth for someone in a middle class to upper middle class income bracket over 30-40 years. Each decision multiplies the other's effects. Contrast this with billionaire behavior: disciplined investing, early action, avoiding debt, living below means, and eliminating waste. Compounding works relentlessly, but direction matters. Misapplied, it destroys. Properly applied, it multiplies into extraordinary wealth. The solutions to these silent wealth killers are precise and disciplined. Lifestyle, inflation, invest, all raises immediately. Maintain a consistent lifestyle. Avoid increasing spending with every income increment. High interest debt, pay off credit cards and consumer debt. Avoid new high interest borrowing entirely. Use strategic low-cost financing only when necessary for appreciating assets. Under saving, delayed investing, start investing immediately. Contribute consistently to retirement and brokerage accounts. Don't wait for more income or perfect timing. Overspending on big-ticket assets. Buy modestly. Choose houses, cars, and goods that meet needs, not social expectations. Allocate surplus toward investments. Small, frequent, wasteful spending audit daily habits. Reduce minor recurring expenses. Invest the difference consistently over decades. The discipline to implement these fixes is the same discipline observed in every billionaire. It requires patience, delayed gratification, and a focus on compounding over decades. Each fix is actionable, costs nothing up front, and compounds into financial freedom when applied consistently. Raises every 1-2 years, often reinvesting none of it. The cumulative effect is staggering: hundreds of thousands of dollars never invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars lost in compounding potential. Billionaires, by contrast, apply discipline from the outset. Every incremental increase in income is redirected toward investments or savings. Buffett, for example, has consistently maintained a modest lifestyle, redirecting income and investment gains into value-oriented assets. He understands that a dollar spent today is a dollar that cannot compound for decades. Psychologically, resisting lifestyle inflation requires awareness and habit formation. People naturally anchor to social expectations and adapt hedonic levels rapidly, making every raise feel necessary to maintain comfort or status. Combating this requires explicit planning. Allocate a fixed percentage of every income increase toward investments immediately, and do not adjust spending without deliberate justification. Even small lifestyle choices, coffee upgrades, subscription services, minor entertainment expenses compound over time. A 20-monthly increase in discretionary spending each year adds up. Across 30 years at 7% annual growth, that seemingly insignificant 20 per month becomes approximately $17,000 lost in potential wealth. These small incremental losses illustrate the quiet destruction lifestyle inflation causes. High interest debt deserves an equally detailed look. Credit cards, personal loans, and buy now, pay later plans provide immediate gratification at an enormous long-term cost. Take a typical $5,000 credit card balance at 24% annual interest. Minimum payments extend the repayment period for decades. The total interest alone can surpass $18,000. Yet the true loss comes from opportunity cost. Those payments, if invested at a modest 7% annual return over 30 years, could have grown to approximately $16,000. That's a single debt instrument quietly destroying potential future wealth. Car loans follow the same pattern. Consider a $35,000 car financed over 6 years at 5% interest. You pay $600 in interest. Opting for a reliable $15,000 used car instead and investing the $600 difference at 7% of percent of dollars results in approximately $450,000 in future wealth. One finance car can therefore cost nearly $500,000 in missed investment potential. Billionaires approach debt differently. Consumer debt is avoided entirely. Every finance purchase is strategic and limited to appreciating or cash-generating assets. Buffett again has emphasized avoiding high-interest liabilities. Discipline in debt management is not optional, it is foundational to wealth accumulation. Psychologically, the average consumer underestimates compounding costs and overestimates repayment ease. Present bias leads to prioritizing convenience over long-term gain. Recognizing the hidden impact of interest and opportunity cost is critical. Eliminating high-interest debt immediately and avoiding new debt forms the basis for sustainable wealth building. Under-saving and delayed investing is another silent wealth killer. Many assume they can catch up later or that they must wait for higher income or perfect timing, yet every year of delay dramatically reduces the compounding effect. Consider a 25-year-old investing $500 monthly at 7% annual return. By age 65, this grows to approximately $16,000. Now, if that same person waits until 35 to start, investing the same amount monthly, the future value drops to around $45,000, a loss of $25,000 solely due to a 10-year delay. Over 40 years, delays of this nature multiply with every additional missed contribution. The psychological behavior stems from procrastination, underestimation of exponential growth, and overconfidence. People assume small delays don't matter. They fail to recognize that compounding accelerates over decades, making early investments exponentially more powerful than delayed ones. Billionaires behave differently. They start early, invest consistently, and allow time to magnify growth. Buffett has emphasized that the earlier you start, the smaller the contributions needed to achieve extraordinary wealth. Small, early decisions dominate late, larger contributions in terms of impact. Practical application involves immediate action, set up automatic contributions, prioritize retirement and brokerage accounts, and increase contributions as income grows. Consistency in early action, not the size of each contribution, is the critical determinant of long-term wealth accumulation. Overspending on big-ticket assets is another wealth destroyer. Homes, cars, and luxury goods purchased above necessity tie up capital that could be invested, producing long-term opportunity costs. Consider housing. A household earning $100,000 buys a $400,000 home, the maximum recommended by lenders. Monthly payments, taxes, insurance, and maintenance total $3,000. If the same household purchased a $250,000 home or rented a $150,000 monthly apartment, they would save approximately $150,000 per month. Investing the difference at 7% annual return over 30 years grows to roughly tossed as dollars, often $2 million in future wealth. Car purchasing decisions are similar. Buying a $35,000 car every 6 years compared to a $15,000 used car driven twice as long results in approximately $612,000 in lost wealth over 30 years due to missed investment potential. Furniture, appliances, and other large purchases follow the same pattern. Frequent replacement of non-appreciating assets silently erodes financial security. Psychologically, this behavior stems from social comparison and lifestyle signaling. People equate possessions with status, prioritizing appearances over financial prudence. Big-ticket spending provides immediate perceived value, but the compounding loss over decades outweighs any short-term satisfaction. Billionaires act differently. Buffett still lives in his modest house purchased decades ago. His cars are practical, not ostentatious. He understands that restraint in high-cost purchases enables compounding to work efficiently, turning every saved dollar into significant wealth over time. The fix is clear: buy modestly, live below means, avoid financing non-essential assets, and invest the difference. Consistency in this practice produces millions in compounded wealth over decades. Small, frequent, wasteful spending is deceptively damaging. Daily coffee, subscriptions, impulse purchases, and minor entertainment expenses accumulate quietly yet result in substantial long-term opportunity costs. Psychologically, this stems from instant gratification and mental accounting. People rationalize minor expenditures as insignificant, failing to see the cumulative impact over decades. The pattern repeats every day, week, and month. Numeric examples: $350, $50. 2020 $77 per year, $60,000 over 30 years at 7% return to under 10 weekly lunches. $20, $50, $30, $30, $60, $53,000, $53,900, $33,000, $1,500 spurring over 30 years combined. Minor habitual expenses can exceed $1,000 over 30 years combined. Minor habitual expenses can exceed $2,000 and $120,000 lost over decades. Multiply across multiple small recurring costs, and the cumulative loss is staggering. Billionaires avoid these small leaks. They recognize the exponential impact of habitual savings. Every saved dollar is redirected toward investments that compound over decades. The focus is on consistent, disciplined redirection of all surplus funds. The fix is straightforward: audit daily and monthly habits, eliminate unnecessary recurring expenses, and invest the difference. Consistency in these small decisions translates into significant financial growth over time. Now, let's quantify the long-term financial impact of these 5 silent mistakes. Individually, each can erode hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectively, they can destroy millions over a 20-40-year period. Lifestyle inflation delaying or misallocating raises leads to hundreds of thousands lost in potential compounding. Example, 5 raises of $5,000 each fully spent, $1,000 lost at 7% over 30 years. High interest debt, credit card balances, personal loans, and car financing create opportunity cost far exceeding the nominal interest paid. $5,000 at 24% interest with minimum payments, $610,000 in lost future wealth. Car loan of $35,000 financed vs $15,000, lost over 30 years. Under saving, delayed investing, waiting 10 years to invest $500 monthly reduces future wealth by $25,000. Consistent early investing maximizes compounding. Overspending on big-ticket assets, buying above, means cost $1.2, $1.5 million over decades and missed compounding opportunities for housing, $6,000 to $12,000 for cars, plus other depreciating assets. Small, frequent, wasteful spending, daily habits, subscriptions, and minor indulgences accumulate quietly, costing $200,000, $250,000, $1,000 over decades. Combined, these mistakes can cost $6-7 million or more over a lifetime for middle-class earners. The silent nature of these losses makes them particularly insidious. The damage accumulates invisibly while life appears normal. Contrast this with billionaire behavior: disciplined, consistent application of investment principles, frugality in non-essential spending, avoidance of high-interest debt, patience, and long-term thinking. Each dollar saved and invested compounds exponentially over decades, turning modest incomes into extraordinary wealth. The key insight: compounding is neutral. It amplifies both prudent and imprudent decisions. Mistakes grow silently over time, while disciplined actions multiply quietly. Awareness and action are the only ways to control this force. Here is the practical, precise application of the 5 fixes to regain control over your financial future. Control lifestyle inflation, freeze discretionary spending at current levels. Allocate raises or bonuses directly into investments. Avoid upgrading lifestyle without explicit financial justification. Eliminate high-interest debt, list all credit cards, loans, and liabilities. Prioritize repayment of the highest interest accounts first. Avoid new consumer debt. Use financing only strategically for appreciating assets. Start investing immediately. Begin with retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, or low-cost index funds. Automate contributions, even small amounts. Invest it consistently. Leverage compounding over decades. Moderate big-ticket spending. Purchase homes, cars, and goods below your maximum affordability. Avoid financing non-essential items. Redirect savings into investments that compound over decades. Minimize small, frequent waste audit, recurring daily and monthly expenditures. Reduce unnecessary spending. Redirect these funds into investments. Habitual savings grow into substantial wealth over decades.